let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX.
J-Way.
I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless.
I'm gone.
Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck.
Give me that.
Into the trends. See a lead, be the band.
Good evening. Oh, man, you know what? The background ain't right. Hold on, y'all. Well, we'll get to that. Good evening. First of all, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Corner to Copa. I'm here with my co-host, Coach. The Detroit Tigers are currently 59-40, but they are on a 6-game losing skid that dates back to before the All-Star break, where we got swept by the Seattle Mariners, lost the last game of the Tampa Bay Rays series, swept by the Seattle Mariners, and nearly blanked so far against the Texas Rangers. With all that said, we are still up 11 games in the AL Central. Coach, I have to ask you, when will the bleeding stop?
I mean, the slide will eventually end. Problem is, will this be a regret? Is this the beginning of a regression in the second half? We'll talk more in depth later on, but it is becoming a little more apparent over the last, during this stretch, but also maybe the last couple of weeks, that this team needs help by addition in some way, shape, or form. So we'll go into detail later on about that. But I don't know, a lot of questions. So we'll see. We got to take it one day at a time.
All right, so let's go back. When we look at the games prior to the All-Star game, we went into the final series against Seattle with Tarek Skubal having a rare loss at the hands of Hernandez. What's his name? Not Hernandez. I'm thinking of the old pitcher for the Mariners.
Felix
Castilla.
King Felix. Yeah. I think you're either Logan Gilbert or
Castillo. What's his name?
Oh, Luis Castillo.
Okay, so Luis Castillo, who's apparently is the only pitcher that can contend with Tarek Skubal. But Skubal gave a 4 earned run in that series, in that game, and then Casey Mize followed up with 6 earned runs of his own. And on top of that, the fall of Tommy Kahnle continues. He had another loss in the game on Friday, but in the month of July, he has an ERA of 37.80 with 14 earned runs. And in the last 7 days, he has an ERA of 48. But yeah. So that is where we're at. The Rangers series, we got blanked in the first game. We lost 2-0, and then we managed one, meaningless home run I think he broke a 19 scoreless inning streak. Riley Green did with his solo home run, but that was obviously not enough. So we lost 4-1 in that ball game. Coach, what is going on? I mean, but it's between the pitching and the hitting, the lack of runners, and then when we do get runners, we're leaving them on base. Is there anything good that we can speak on right now?
I mean, for the most part, I'd say that the defense has been pretty good. We've seen some unusual, uncharacteristic misplays by Parker in the last week and a half. But I think that, again, that's just a aspect of him trying to find his feet again. And I know he's had, 100 plus at bats already, but he's not playing. He was kind of playing every day, and kind of Hinch has backed off that. But you've got some guys that weren't there in the first couple months of the year that are, and you got some guys that were there in the first couple months that are still not there now. So it's this constant, revolving door of their lineup and their availability. And the guys they've had to lean on the most suddenly are not producing, and they're in the lineup every day, or they're getting appearances out of the bullpen or starts regularly for the most part. Skubal was a one-off. He just didn't have the command. He fell behind a lot early, a lot of first ball counts, which is highly uncharacteristic of him. So he put himself in a bad position, and they just couldn't dig out of it from there. And like you said, his counterpoint Castillo was going, tit for tat with him, if not better. So, and then you had this unusual play. Now you pull up the background because this is the play. This is the play. We haven't seen this from Javi really in probably at least a year. Made a ground ball play. This was after they had lost a challenge on the Riley Green fly ball to the left field that they called on the field. They called it a trap. It hit the ground, which we won't get too much into that. But on slow, really slow mo play, it looked like it caught glove and ground. So you can't have a catch if it hits the ground.
Definitely bounced in his glove. Like it was weird. You could see the
The angle of it was just bad because the way the glove was, it was pretty much perpendicular to the ground. So, and the fact that it was a black glove versus a tan glove, you can't really see into the depth of that glove on the replay, even though it's high def. But anyways, Javi tried to make a play at second and then didn't finish the tag and try to get it then complete the double play attempt and then threw it away wildly at first base, and both runners were safe. So, but those aside, little oddball stuff. The defense has been pretty good for the most part. Riley Green, that aside, has been fantastic. Parker continues to cover range. Wensiel's had some nice plays and throws and putouts so far this year, but right now we miss Carey's power for sure. Carpenter. Last we heard, he's progressing. He should be nearing completing whatever checklist they have for him to return. I don't know. I'm going to speculate maybe a week, 10 days at most, hopefully. Not much longer than that. But yeah, dude, we'll put it this way. What we're seeing now was the opposite from May and June, where we were hitting and pitching on all cylinders. Yes. Now we're not hitting. We can't get any base runners, or like you said, runners in scoring position averages have been down. If it's not Will Vest, no one else is really coming up to do much of anything right now. Tyler Holton continues to be on and off. Montero had to come in that Seattle series, which he hadn't done in a while. He's usually been a spot starter, but they had to eat innings to get into the break. He got bumped around a bit after Mize did as well, but it's a lot happening in the wrong direction at the same time.
Yeah, and speaking on Perez, he had that pretty much do or die play late in the game on Friday where he kind of laid out, and we ended up giving up. I think we would have given up at least one run, regardless of whether he had dove and got in front of it. But ultimately, it was the factor. I mean, can you really put that on the pitching when you score 0 runs? You got to score at least one. But encouraging to see Reese Olson have a scoreless outing. Montero recovered from a rough beginning of his outing. He gave up that 3-run home run to Rowdy Tellez, and they ended up scoring 4 altogether. So tough. He just falls just a little short a lot of the time. Let's see what comment we got in here. Tim Lyons. Well, look who finally showed up. All right, my bad, man. I knew somebody was going to call us out for being a little late, but we appreciate you guys for sticking with us. We got a few viewers at this current moment. But yeah, outside of that, I think my biggest thing is that right now we have a log jam. I kind of talked about it before, but we have a log jam in the outfield. We got a ton of guys outside of Riley Green. We got a ton of guys that are fringe, on the level of, are they a fourth caliber outfielder? I think Wensiel Perez kind of tricked me out the gate. He was great. He had a home run, I think, in his first pitch back. He had 5 home runs in June. He had a 940 OPS, but he has since then come back to reality. His slash line in the last 15 games is 214 average, 313. What was that on base? 313, 214. Yeah, 313 on base, 214 slug, which is a 527 OPS. So he's now reverted back to a guy that ironically has reverse splits, although he hasn't gone up against a ton of lefties. He's hitting over 300 against lefties, batting right-handed. And he's more suited to get some days off. And you hit the nail right on the head with Kerry Carpenter and us missing him. We are missing that big power bat in the middle of the lineup that is a threat to, take the pitcher deep. He didn't have a ton of RBIs early on in this, so far this season. A lot of solo bombs, but he's definitely made teams pay, and he's somebody that you have to account for and think about, that can possibly take you deep. So that's, kind of what we need to address is we need more everyday players. We need some more power, and foregone conclusion, we need some high leverage bullpen guys. The one other player that I would say, one other pitcher that I would say that has continued to be fairly valuable outside of Will Vest is Tyler Holton. He had a pretty rough June. I think it was a rough June, but he's bounced back pretty well since then. So, but other than that, you got a whole lot more people out there that need to be better. That's for certain. Let's see what Tim Lyon says. Cards are missing pitching, straight trash after the All-Star break. Yeah. But you know what? There's a lot of teams, a lot of high-end, quote unquote World Series caliber teams that that have struggled as of late. I think let me see.
Well, I mean, if you look at the pitching injuries as a whole, too, everyone needs arms. I mean, look at the Yankees and the Dodgers starting pitching in the last 2 years. They own the amount of weeks on IL for starting pitching. It's insane. Yeah. But that's part of a larger issue altogether. I do want to piggyback off Perez. You read my mind because I did a little update in Inside the Lumber, and I kind of keyed on him and Dingler because they've been two guys that have been booing him over the last 35, 40 days, like you said, in June. Dingler had a fantastic May and into June, and then he's kind of dipped off. Perez, since July 1st, when he was hitting 286, slugging over 600 and OPS, almost at 950, since then he has dropped down. His batting average 29 points. His slugging has dropped 110 points, and his OPS has dropped 136 points. I mean, those are fairly big numbers. Granted, it's only been a few weeks of games in the calendar month, but in terms of other numbers for him, he's only had one extra base hit on the home run on July 4th, and he's hitting 200, the 265 OBP, 267 slug, and a 532 OPS, like you mentioned, pretty much almost very similar numbers in the last 2 weeks as compared to the whole month. And then Dingler, since May 30th, when he was last hitting over 300, slugging almost 460, and an OPS almost at 800, he has been in a slow decline. He's dropped 40 points in his batting average over the last 2+ months, slugging down almost 50 points, and his OPS down almost 80 points. And then from that time through July, through heading into tonight's Sunday night game, he's only hitting 203 with a 268 OBP and a 324 slug, which I think is more concerning, and then a 596 OPS. No home runs in almost 30 days, and only 2 RBIs and runs in July, where he's only hitting 19 of 94 with 3 doubles. So 16 singles or 15 singles and 1 home run.
Yeah, and to your part about Dingler, it just goes to show how ridiculous Cal Raleigh is. I mean, catcher is such a demanding position to play, let alone have to hit on top of that. And we're seeing, especially Dingler being as good as he is defensively and just calling games. It's tough to manage both at the same time. Not many can do it. But yeah, just goes to show. And Rogers, we won't even speak on Jake Rogers. He's like just a free out at this point. But hey, it is what it is. Tim Lyons, he said we are not World Series caliber. I think the Cards take a dive and fall under 500 for the year. Yeah, then just hand over Arenado for the low, man. We could certainly use him if he's, is willing to waive his waive his no trade clause, because he certainly makes us a World Series contender, just his ability to defend his position and provide us with at least a threat out there. I mean, Arenado has seen better days, but he's solidified. He's solidified. It's been decades. Tim Lyons says it's been decades since a catcher has had this impact on the game. Yeah, I mean I think he is up there right now with like Bonds for the most home runs. Was it Bonds for the most home runs in the first half? Something like that.
He broke the franchise record, Griffey, in that 3 home run game on that. I think it was that Friday night, right? In that series against us, he had 3 home runs, including the grand slam.
2.
I thought it was 3, but either way, he had 4 or 5 against us in the whole series. So I guess it doesn't really matter.
Right? Yeah.
But that night where he had multiple home runs against us, he tied and then set the franchise record for most home runs in the first half of the season, eclipsing Ken Griffey Jr. So, yeah, I would say he's probably in that conversation of Bonds, of whatever his number is, because to your point, I don't think we've seen anything like this in a long time from a catcher. Now, is it a flash in the pan year for him? Very well could be. But in terms of longevity impact, I'd say in terms of like offensive hitting catchers, probably not since either Buster Posey or even going as far back as Pudge, honestly.
Yeah, and Pudge wasn't hitting for that type of power. Yeah.
But he was average with some power.
Yeah, so he fell one short of Bonds for the most in the first half. And yeah, longevity-wise, he's definitely going to end up being a first baseman. It's funny because his name is so close to there's a guy named there's a first baseman on the Mariners named Riley. It's not Riley. It's not Cal Riley like him, but it's like Riley or something like that. So I thought he split time at first base, but eventually that's where he's going to be, is at first base. There's no way. I mean, if you want to Matt Piazza, yeah, see, we're going back there. If you want to maximize that bat, I mean, this guy's a switch hitter at that. If you want to maximize him, you're going to have to move him around. And when you get an opportunity, watch some of that exchange between him and Gilbert doing the lie detector test. That was pretty hilarious.
Luke Raley is their right fielder.
Okay. Does he play first though? At all?
No, he just plays just outfield, right fielder.
Okay, so maybe the guy never played first base, but for some reason I thought that Cal on days where he wasn't behind the plate, I'm sure he DHs, but for some reason I thought that he played first last year. But I'm sure that's what Joe Mauer did, right? To extend his career, right?
Yeah. Well, he also had some, I thought he had some concussion, not necessarily issues, but kind of lingering symptoms were like, well, all right, let's try and put you out of the harm's way for a little bit, like you said, to ensure the shelf life of his extension can be.
Yeah. I mean, dude's worth Soto numbers if we're talking about extension right now. I mean, he already got paid, but yeah, we're gonna let's get to the first break, and we'll talk the farm and whatever else is going on. All right. From what I know, there's not too much to talk about as far as the roster moves, so we can surpass that part and get right into the farm. Obviously, we had 3 representatives at the Futures game, and all of those players are getting settled in at Erie. I think they had their first home stand in an actual home. I think the first series they played was on the road. But as far as keeping up on those guys, Kevin McGonigal has now been ranked by Baseball Prospectus as the top prospect in baseball. I feel like kind of going talked about a little bit. Top prospect in baseball is pretty crazy. We know he surpassed Max Clark a little bit, but the top prospect in baseball is pretty crazy. Clark now comes in at number 13. Briseño's at 21, and Bryce Rainier is at 47. So a pretty impressive ranking from all of them, and very similar to what happened last year when Clark and McGonigal jumped up to West Michigan. Max Clark got off to the better start, and he continues to like that power tool that he's been missing. He hit a home run on Friday, I believe. It was a solo home run, and it's actually been McGonigal that has kind of slowed down a little bit. But McGonigal did go, I think, 3 for 4 yesterday, so he's right back to picking up where he gets left off. Outside of that, Jackson Strong, he's a player that I talked about a little bit. In previously. He continues to be a guy to keep an eye on as far as your potential 5-tool guys that have the power, the speed, the arm, all of that. And he's in Lakeland right now. He's probably one of the lone, hot names right now to keep an eye on in Lakeland because Bryce Rainier is out for the year. Outside of that, Chris Rodriguez. This is a young player that is an international signing. He just turned 17 not too long ago. He's playing in our Dominican League system. He went 4 for 5 on Thursday, and his max exit velocity in that game was 110. This guy's 17 years old. He's got good size. He's going to grow into it, and he's kind of had an up and down first season in the Dominican Republic. He started out hot. He went on a little slump, and now he's kind of getting back to it. Outside of that, Bly Madris. He's been out. He plays pretty much corner outfield in AAA, and he's been out for 47 days with an injury. He made his first rehab start back in Lakeland, and I think he had a decent game, but he was batting third and DHing in Lakeland. So good to see him back. He's actually was quite the contributor last year for a nice little stint when the Pistons were the Tigers were trying to stay above water in June and July. Not likely that we'll probably ever see him in a Tigers uniform again. Is that bold to say? Yeah. Nah, I can't see him. But I actually was very impressed by him. I liked his glove. He was solid out there. But yeah, he's now back playing. And as far as West Michigan prospects to keep your eye on, Isaac Pacheco has pretty much emerged as the new, hot face. They were kind of behind, they were kind of behind the Clarks and McGonigals and Briseños of the world. But yeah, Isaac Pacheco, and the other player is Garrett Pennington. This guy is a first baseman. He was drafted out of NC State, and he's having a pretty good year, very quietly. 10 home runs, 46 RBIs, and has an 817 OPS. So a guy that you don't hear a lot about, but is having a pretty strong year. But that is our all we have. That's all we have as far as the farm system. It always goes a little bit longer. The segment always goes a little bit longer than I anticipated. But all right. As far as what we have, as far as where we're at to this point, is there anybody that you can think of on our team that would benefit for some, with some time, sent down to the minors or anybody that you'd like to see get brought up and get some work?
I mean, I'm sure we could come up with a quick short list of at least a few guys who could benefit from going down. Problem is, there's just not enough quality candidates to come back the other way to replace them. If you're going to send someone down, you got to fill their spot. And frankly, unless it's one of the prospects, in their system ranked prospects, I don't really see where the actual help is going to come from. I think we briefly mentioned it last week, and I think he's been pitching out of the pen this year in Toledo, or recently, in long relief, is Troy Melton. I think he's a guy that you could take a look at and just see what happens. Bring him up for a little bit and just kind of go piece by outing by outing at a time and evaluate. But he's pitched pretty well out of the bullpen in Toledo the last couple outings, like a good solid inning eater too. So. With the inconsistencies of Flaherty and his issues around the home run ball and his pitch count issues, we're really pretty much leaning on Mize, Skubal, which Lord knows we need to fucking score more runs for Skubal. And Reese Olson, I think, is getting back. He had a very, kind of rustic first start back. We kind of figured, he spent some time away, but in terms of a hitting standpoint, I don't know who you can call up who you haven't seen already that we know that we can put a little bit of faith in. But I think you and I have been fairly supportive of JHM and what he can bring. Problem is he's pretty much the same, but a lesser version of Torkelson in that regard. And like you said, a lot of walks. He's patient, but hasn't shown the consistent power that we desperately need.
Not this year, anyways.
Right, and he's got it. We've seen it in flashes, but it's been few and far between. In terms of pitching, I think we've pretty much damn near called up everyone from Toledo going back to last year has been on the parent club. So I don't know who else other than prospects at this point, to be honest with you, because Lord knows these Band-Aid midseason acquisitions of these guys like Hernandez, holy hell, get him off the roster. But again, who are you going to replace him? Another, not even a 4A guy, but just a Toledo guy? I don't know. I haven't heard anything on Bo Brisky in a while since he's been demoted. So
he's hurt. I reported last week that he went on the 7-day injured list, and then I went through his sequence, and it was like home run, hit by pitch, walk, strikeout. It wasn't pretty before he went on the injured list. So
you write him off. He's not anywhere close to coming back, unless it comes down to attrition. You got it. You know what I mean? That'd be the only case right now. But Jake Rogers has had to pitch twice in the last month. That's a problem. That is a problem. And Travis Nito pitched earlier in the year before he was DFA'd to Toledo when Jake Rogers came back healthy to be activated. So you've had catcher appearances pitching 3 times this year. Granted, Nito was way early in the year. Rogers more recently during this, regression period we've been in. So I don't know. Roundabout way of saying that, I don't know who else they have that can call up that's going to be effective enough just to buy us some time. Because frankly, we don't just need time. It's not like we're waiting on 3 guys to come off the injured list for our pitching staff. I mean, Gibson Long has been rehabbing in Toledo. I know we'll get him back at some point, but if he has to go back on the IL again, bro, I don't know if you can rely on him the rest of the year. And he's been injury prone for the last 18 months.
For sure. So Justin Henry Malloy, I think is your best option as far as somebody. I think that at this point he's a better option than Vierling, I believe. The only concern being that with Jahmai Jones already being here, they fit the exact same role. They're lefty, left-handed pitcher specialists, guys that hit well against lefties that don't really field a great outfield. So it's kind of like more or less Jones or Malloy as opposed to, maybe sending. And once again, it doesn't. I don't think it'll benefit. I think that Meadows is more likely to go back down than Vierling. Vierling has had a ton of work, a ton of rehab work already in AAA. Didn't hit great, but so I don't know. You're getting what you can get out of Vierling. I think that it makes all the sense in the world to trade him if there's any level of value for him at this point. But yeah, I think hitter wise, possibly Malloy. There's always a chance that although Baddoo is off the 40-man right now, so you'd have to make room for him. But you got a couple guys that are DFA that are DFA worthy. You got Brewer Hicklin, you got Andy Ibanez, who isn't hitting any better. I think that if he had been any better, he would have been brought back up already at some point. But he's not really hitting all that great. And then but this is a person that I think is going to get we'll see back in Detroit pretty soon. I forgot that he was put on the 7-day IL along with Bo Brisky, but Dylan Smith, obviously we're having a lot of trouble bullpen wise, but Dylan Smith in very limited opportunities, 7 games, has looked pretty damn good. 1 win, 0 losses, an ERA of 1.38, and less than a walk/hit per inning. And he's induced a ton of weak contact, a ton of ground balls. His average his fastball velocity isn't all that high, but he has good extension, so it plays up pretty well. But he was recently he came in as a starter. They converted him to a relief pitcher, and that's been a pretty smooth transition. There's not too many guys, albeit on a very small sample size. There's not too many bullpen arms that we have been able to look to that have fared as well as him. He hasn't played a whole lot of high. He hasn't been in any real high leverage situations, but at this point, anybody that can show any type of success who's on the 40-man roster, he's already on the 40-man roster, so you don't have to make any additional moves to move him in. But yeah, I think that once he comes off the injured list, I think that we're probably going to bring him back. Any thoughts on Dylan Smith?
Yeah, like you said, limited. I think we were both watching the appearances he had when he was in there. Certainly some good stuff. Small sample size. Now that we're in the second half, mindset kind of changes a little bit. Okay, hopefully this team kind of goes, okay, everything's everyone's even again. That's the way we have to look at it and go from there. But I welcome it. But at some point too, if guys that are on the 26 continue to struggle, like a Tommy Kahnle and other guys that maybe fall out of favor. You got to bring someone up to stop the bleeding somehow. And I imagine if once Brisky is activated from the minor league injured list and he continues to just throw, they may take a chance and be like, he might not be pitching that great in Toledo, but damn it, we don't have anyone else right now. And we're kind of, they got to start getting creative. But yeah, Dylan Smith will be a nice, acclimation back into the mix of arms. But again, starters have to give their bullpen a chance to even come in with a lead and opportunity to hold it down and, record holds to get to Will Vest, because that's kind of been the problem right now. Starters not getting deep enough. We've got to use 4 arms to get to Vest, and then by that point, the implosion happens. So, but again, hopefully he'll be back soon. Any news is good news at this point for the bullpen.
Absolutely. We're going to get to the next break, and then we got a few interesting topics to get to. All right. Well, the Detroit Tigers did have a draft recently. That may be a topic that we can touch on later because I haven't done a ton of research. But do you have any by chance any knowledge on the first couple picks that we had? If not, that's totally fine.
Not really, other than they went high school again, first round pick this year. So I think that also ties into the spend portion. You know, they're cheaper for slotted compared to, you know, a 1, 2, 3, whatever year college guy that, you know, has shown some additional promise at the NCAA level. They went young again, first round, but not too much else besides that. The other note I did take in, they took a catcher, I think, in the one of the, not obviously the first, but it was somewhere in the third, fourth, or fifth round. It was the second round. They took catcher. So I know we had talked about it briefly beforehand. I'm thinking, well, you know, if Thayron Lorenzo gets converted basically to first base from catcher because Dingler appears to have that spot locked for the next, you know, foreseeable future, then they could look at trying to find the next potential backfill for basically what ended up being, you know, Jake Rogers' replacement, and that's what they did. So those were the only notes that I had in terms of draft. But yeah, we'll dive into more of that on a future episode with some better information.
Yeah, we'll have more information. Just to give you guys just a brief synopsis in the first couple picks. The first guy we got was Jordan Yost. Obviously, Scott Harris likes the prep players. He's a high school guy. Pretty much a, you know, bat to ball, you know, good understanding of the strike zone, a contact type hitter. He's like 6 foot, 170 pounds, but a pretty good defensive shortstop. Which is interesting because we went out and got Bryce Rainier last year, but you know, no issue. You know, there's no harm in stockpiling talent. You know, go out and get the guy that you want because it's not like you're going to see him anytime soon. Like I said, I believe that catcher, who's a kind of tall, lanky, left-handed hitter, went in the second round, and I think he has some power potential. And I think the third guy that we went out and grabbed is a relief pitcher. His twin went in the first round, but he's a relief pitcher that, you know, I guess has pretty nasty stuff. I think he went to Nebraska, if I'm not mistaken, but just has some control issues. So, you know, if we can get him into that pitching, you know, our pitching program, our pitching lab, they obviously think that he's somebody that we can work on and utilize, and we certainly need some arms, whether it's bullpen. I think he's already a bullpen. Is he already a bullpen guy? I'm not sure if he's already a bullpen guy, but he's a guy that definitely has some swing and miss in his stuff. It's just a matter of refining his command. So that's the draft. Like I said, we're gonna have more information moving forward. Oh, let me get to Tim Lyons' comment. He said, any news on Job's surgery and progress besides out for the year? I did see him. I did see him in the dugout. Just kind of happened to catch him, but I don't know anything. You know, I don't even think there's an injury report update yet, you know, saying that he's resuming rehab right now. But I'm assuming he had a successful surgery. Coach, you know anything?
Since the surgery, there hasn't really been much of an update. I think they're just kind of, you know, monitoring his healing and then getting to a point where they're comfortable with him starting general rehab. I think it'll be a while before he does anything actually baseball related in terms of throwing or anything of that relation. It'll be mostly just, you know, getting that cadaver ligament back, you know, dexterity wise, getting the flexibility and range of motion, and then building from there. So we probably won't have anything substantial, at least publicly released, until probably closer towards the end of the regular season, be my guess. And my guess would be his legitimate baseball rehab will be done mostly, or if not all of it, during the off season, in hopes that he's ready for, if not spring training, at least for regular season next year. But that's purely speculative.
So if there's any question about whether or not he himself has any confidence in the Tommy John system, and somebody told me this, so it just struck me. But his grandfather is the co-founder of the I think his grandfather is the co-founder of the Curlin Job Orthopedic Clinic, and they coined the Tommy John surgery. It says, what is it? Joe performed the first Tommy John surgery on Tommy John in 1974. So if there was ever issues, prior to him, I think they've got it all worked out by the time they got to Jackson. Yeah, Tim. Yeah, I hit you with something. Hit you upside the head with something right there. Whoops, my bad. That's outstanding. Yeah, I know. Hey, this technology is a mug, ain't it? Shout out to the screen sharing system. But in other news, Mr. Suarez, and that he's older than I would have hoped he would be, but the 34-year-old power hitting third baseman on the Arizona Diamondbacks has expressed some interest in being reunited with his old team. He said that it would be fitting for him to finish where he started. Coach, any thoughts on that right now? By the way, he hit 2 home runs last night, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes and no. The sentiment's great, but at the same time, it tells me now, Arizona price going up. He wants to go somewhere, and Detroit calls. That price just went up for Detroit specifically. And 2, it makes it sound like he's going to retire at the end of the year because his contract is over. His extension, this is the final year of his extension. And he makes it sound like this is his last hurrah, if you will. And if that's the case, I'm not going to overpay grossly for a guy that's going to be here for 3 months that we may or may not even get to a World Series. We get to the LCS, but after that, our pitching is still the other big concern. But I kind of hoped he had not said that, honestly, because now I feel like. Now we kind of I mean, so if you're
to finish, I understand that he said finish where I started and how that could allude to this is my swan song,
right?
But
this
guy is having one of the best. He had in Cincinnati, huh?
He's still producing like he's in his prime for sure. That's kind of like
I was gonna say. This isn't. I think he had 49 home runs in Cincinnati, which is just insane. I didn't know people were hitting 50 home runs in this day and age, let alone Eugenio Suarez. But he's having one of the best years of his career. There's no way that he's leaving the money left on the table that he could get in looking like his prime, essentially.
I don't know who's going to pay a 35-year-old next year that kind of money that he might be seeking based on his numbers alone, because age certainly doesn't play a factor into these negotiations. And, look.
No, hold on. Wait a minute. With the there's no restrict. Oh, you're saying because we have a strike coming up or something?
Well, no. I mean, if you take the numbers on their own and you say, okay, what would you offer in a player extension based on these numbers for this year, right? This year is what we're looking at. I bet you most teams are going to put in a fairly generous and at worst respectable offer for an extension, right? Now you throw in the age factor, it plummets big time because it's a huge risk. We already saw, granted, it's a different scenario with Miguel. We gave him a big long-term extension at a younger age, but it went well into his 30s. And the last few years were just, it was abysmal. It was hard to watch, but it's a different situation because obviously Suarez would be an unrestricted free agent at almost 35 years old. I don't know a team is going to give him a 2-year offer or more that does not include a club opt-out after 1 year. It's just
essentially a top 5 power hitter in the game. You're not going to take that risk. Why not?
Beyond more than 2 years, I would say no. Beyond. Not at the AAV that he would want. That's the problem. Either
so you think he'll retire off the strength that they just won't pay him what he thinks he's worth? If he truly wants to continue playing?
The other part of it too is, how is his body going to feel at the end of the offseason? Is he going to have the mental Except it's like, okay, let's go through it again. Another off-season training, because as you get older as an athlete, it takes more time and energy and effort to stay in shape off-season than it does younger guys, just because your body's slowing down. You're not recovering as fast or as well as you used to. So a lot of those factors go into it. But I mean, I would be fine giving a 2-year deal, but if he wants $25 million a year at 35 years old, I mean,
pay that.
We didn't even offer Bregman 25. Why are you going to offer this guy who's 6 years older? There's no way.
He's having a way better year than Bregman had last year.
Bregman's a hell of a better defensive player. I'm just saying.
Player, but he's a good defensive player. But
Bregman's a Gold Glover.
Absolutely, absolutely. But that's okay. But when has your glove ever got you the money? It's the bat. It's the bat.
Yeah, but you still need defense.
You know who's a great third baseman? Brian Hayes.
Yeah, and he swings like he's using a fucking tennis racket.
That's what I'm saying, though.
That's not a bag.
The glove is important. For certain that the glove is important, but the bat is. The chicks dig the long ball, and he's hitting better than he's ever hit. Because him playing in Cincinnati in that little league ballpark means nothing to me. Like Arizona.
The extension kind of dictates what happens with the trade, what we give up for him. If we overpay from our prospect standpoint, and we don't know until the end of the year if he's going to hang it up or if he wants to stick around for that's a lot of unknowns that you can't address.
But he's already expressed interest. I mean, he only just got drafted by us. It's not like he really played with us for very long.
Right. He played 1 year with us at the parent level before we let him go, pretty much. Yeah.
Or actually, we traded him. And where's he from? Is he from Venezuela?
Certainly not the U.S. of A.
No, I know that. I know he's not from. I know he's not from Southfield, Michigan. But let me see. A lot of that matters. Oh, he's from Venezuela.
We traded him, remember, in 2014 in a package deal with one other player going to Cincinnati for Alfredo Simon, who had a horrible year, but he did lead the team in wins, and then he went right back to Cincinnati the next year. So we basically gave him away for nothing.
Yes. So he's from Venezuela. We got Baez locked in. Torres, it could be an incentive for Torres to come back because he's also from Venezuela. I think I think it's a recipe for success for a guy that is like Tim said, somebody's gonna pay him. He's just too good right now. And I was trying to look at his not his production, but his games played. So oh my God. I'm just gonna share this with you. This is his games played for the last couple years.
Look at that, since 2016. Healthy. 2020 throughout. It's a COVID year, obviously, but yeah, that's like 90% of the season,
bro.
Yeah,
there's no way he's calling it quits. Go get that bag, young man.
I'd give him if the
younger than me.
Friendly enough. If his AAV was friendly enough, I would do it.
Bro, it's not our money though.
I'm still thinking in between the lines of Illich and Harris being handicapped by not giving him enough money to go do what he needs to do.
This team is going to be so like the ticket price is going up, and guess what? We're paying just like we pay to see the Lions. We pay to see the Pistons. And the Pistons, but my point is that you lock down Riley, you bring back Suarez for a sweet deal for him to play the rest of his prime. There's nothing that suggests that he's going to fall off. He's playing every single day. This team is going to be amazing. Anybody short of Clark and McGonigal, you make that deal happen. He's already said he's in.
First round pick you just took this week. I trade your first round pick you just took this week.
But I don't think that. How about Bryce Renier? Well, like I said, yes. How about Bryce Renier? He's already ranked overall 40. I mean, because Jordan Yost, he's he's not that. He's not Bryce Renier. He may be down the line, but as of right now, I don't think that would be a sweet enough deal. Do guys get traded that fast?
He's still valuable because he's not a college player. There's that young of age. A lot of the organizations are willing to take that chance because you can still mold that player how you see fit for your organization, in the long run. Like you said, we drafted how many shortstops for left side infield in the last 2 years after Max Clark. So we're loaded on shortstop-ish prospects. So,
yeah, McGonigal's a shortstop, technically. That's
what I'm saying. And you got Renier last year. You got this kid, Yost, and also shortstop. It's like, okay, I understand the Tigers do a lot of,
I think that's why we traded. I think that's why we went out and got Yost, is to make Renier expendable.
I don't know if you're going to.
Because one thing about Renier is he was also a high school guy, and then he played 10 games, 15 games this year. So he's still a high school guy, in my opinion.
Isn't he the one that just destroyed his shoulder just a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think his value takes a hit because that's a pretty big, substantial surgery. He had basically semi-reconstructive shoulder surgery. I mean, that's huge. And it was his throwing arm. If I'm not mistaken, he throws righty, right?
Probably.
So there's some concern, some general concern on how he comes out of that. Not saying it's career ending or anything like that, but I think his value does take a hit in that regard. Whereas you take a kid fresh off the high school graduation train at 17, 18 years old, is still enticing to pretty much any organization. But yeah, I was going to say, like, you could trade Yost right now for any big name guy you wanted, but I think to update the list of guys that we would target, I think you got to remove Aroldis Chapman out altogether. Boston is the hottest team in baseball right now, along with the Brewers, and now they are right in the wild card thick of it. I think any player you had, including Chapman, you throw it out the window, they're not available. Boston's not going to do that now. They're not going to sell when they're right in the middle of the playoff hunt after getting rid of Devers. Now, that would be a storyline at the end of the year. Red Sox makes playoffs despite Devers being basically jettisoned to the other side of the country.
Yeah, and Tim Lyons says, "Come on, he'll come back throwing the ball 200 miles per hour." He also said Suarez is a great team guy. Loved him while he was in the Mariners. I don't even remember that time period. That's the crazy part.
After Cincy, yeah.
And then what was I gonna say? Oh man. Oh yeah. You can probably scratch Bregman off that list too. I actually just realized that he came back on 7-11. But I haven't heard too much about him, so I don't know how he's doing.
Well, Boston said flat out, if they can't extend him, they're going to trade him. They're not losing him for nothing.
He's still on the
yeah, because he's going to opt out. Everyone knows that that's pretty much been the consensus for this month. He's having
even him getting hurt and missing substantial time, that doesn't knock down his leverage in a situation like that at all. He's getting older.
Because the talk, he's not Suarez age. He's what, 29, 30 years old. I mean, he's
right. I think he get 30.
Yeah, so he's not too much older than Skubal, who's 28. So I mean, Bregman is
31. He'll be 32 next season.
So yeah, Ray would start the next regular season. Yeah, the news was his injury wasn't like that threatening to where you don't know what you're going to get with him coming out of it. Was it a hamstring? No.
Arm.
I'm gonna look it up real quick, but I think it was
quad.
Right quad.
Yeah. I knew it was to his leg. I kind of had a speculation that it was to his leg. So yeah.
But I mean, even then, when he comes back, you can just DH him for a little bit if you're really that cautious. If you want to be that cautious about it, because you're trading him for his bat primarily, and obviously he comes with a good glove, so the throwing and the fielding isn't really usually too impacted by that. It's in the batter's box, especially his right quad, his right-handed hitter. That's where all your power comes from. You're driving off that back leg, so if you can't have a good foundation in the batter's box, you're kind of useless. But the news was they were going to take their time with them, and then obviously they're they're playing great. So as far as I know, he's still on the table to be traded. Boston doesn't want to lose out and get nothing for him if they can't re-sign him.
Okay, let's get to the last break, and we're going to discuss who I think the Tigers should be going after at the deadline. I told Coach this would be a spicy show that would stretch out a little bit because there was going to be a whole lot to talk about, and I did not disappoint on that theory. And I will now present with you who I think the Tigers should. This isn't like in my opinion, this is a realistic. This is a a realistic option. It's not a blockbuster deal, but I think that it will be possibly controversial. I don't know. You Coach, you might not be in on this, but we'll see.
Give me a hint first. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we had someone we haven't talked about him in a minute, but I know he came up in our free agency.
We have talked about him at all. Have we talked about him?
Free agency briefly in the winter.
Oh, free agency. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get to the comment. Foster has his Christmas list out. Yeah. It's out. So for the listeners listening, the person that I am targeting is Cedric Mullins, who is a center fielder for the Baltimore Orioles. And so he's a speedy guy. He plays his position well. He mans the outfield. Good base runner, and he has shown proven himself to be a power hitter at times. He's having a somewhat of a down year, but the Orioles as a whole are having a down year. So not a whole lot of support and protection, but he's got 13. He's already hit 13 home runs this year. I think he's played at about 49, base runners. So pretty solid numbers for a guy that comes in at 5'8", 175 pounds. Not a guy that you would categorize as a power hitter, but in his best years, I think he hit 30. I want to say he hit 30 home runs. He had a 6 WAR, and that was his lone all-star game. In my thought process is that you flip him for Parker Meadows. He can be a nice stopgap until Max Clark is ready. But he's just way more proven. He's proven year in and year out that he can be a everyday center fielder, defend his position, hit for power, and also steal some bases. He's a good base runner, and he can also steal some bases. I want to say he's like 9th in stolen bases amongst all outfielders. So all in all, Baltimore's already decided that they're not willing to extend him. They avoided arbitration, agreed on a 1-year, $8 million deal, but there's no extension talks on the table. They have, I think, 3 of their top 5 prospects right now are outfielders, one of which who's probably ready to play tomorrow if need be. So the need to go, he's 30 years old. And they're, like I said, they have a ton of guys that they can bring in that can probably provide as much production at a younger and cheaper price. So I don't think that they won't overly tax. He's good. They forewent arbitration and signed him for $8 million, and he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year anyways. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on going after Cedric Mullins, who I said for us to go to exchange him for, all that together?
I feel like we'd be incredibly screwed on that deal, considering Parker's considerably younger and he provides everything Mullins already does. And Mullins hasn't that year you mentioned he had 30 home runs was in 2021.
Yeah.
And he only had 59 RBIs to boot. He was hitting solo homers.
Yeah. Well, solo home runs because he was probably batting leadoff and the bottom of the lineup wasn't getting on. And Baltimore's probably was probably shitty that year. Let's be real.
And he's not hit above 260 since then. I'm gonna get a negative.
Who's a better player right now?
I mean, they're both below average, honestly. I mean,
He's got 13 home runs this year. He's got 50 RBIs.
He's a left-handed hitting outfielder we don't need. We've got 1 billion of those already on the roster. No, absolutely not. I mean, Justin Hunter Malloy, sure. I'm not. You're going to give up on Parker like that, dude. You're giving away a guy that still has a pretty high ceiling for someone who's been regressing for the last 3 years consistently on a team that did a hell of a year last year, and he hit barely over 230. Didn't even have 60 RBIs. Didn't have over 20 doubles. Barely had 100 hits. I'm not interested. Pass. It's a lot of the same guys you already have, and he's got a negative WAR this year. This trade is not going to do anything for the needle for this team in terms of putting him over the edge to be a dominant ALCS winner and or go from a borderline World Series contender to, yes, this team will be the one to contend in the American League and the World Series. Doesn't move the needle for me at all.
He's better than Parker right now, for certain.
That's absolutely debatable. They both have piss poor numbers. I mean, Parker's been hurt. He's what, 5-6 years younger than him. I mean,
He's 5-6 years younger, but
if you're going 1-for-1 in a trade like this, your ass is out as GM. That's a horrible offer to make. I mean, if I'm Baltimore, I am not thinking twice about that. I'm taking that. I am hitting yes repeatedly until that trade goes through.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So on the Baltimore side of things, they really don't lose anything because
we would basically be giving up on a guy with team control for the next 3 to 4 years at least, under $1 million, for a guy that is unrestricted next year, was making $8 million, a little over $8 million this year. Probably will ask for that or closer to $10 million per year average. So not only do we give away a cheap option, now we have to re-sign an option that's 1,000% more expensive.
That's true. That's true. But I guess I guess I'm intrigued by the power numbers. I mean, the guy hits for power, and Parker has not proved in parts of 3 seasons. Call it what you want. He probably should be in AAA right now, but and was in AAA last year. Like what is our realistic option right now in center field for this year? We're just going to stick with Parker Meadows, who's hitting 179 right now? Like you talk about barely hit over 240, but Parker is hitting 2, and this is what he hit last year. This is what he hit last year. Like I would love to say extended spring training and all that good stuff, but
okay, you know what? In that Houston series, guess we're the only one to hit home runs. Parker Meadows in the wild card round. Like,
okay, one hit, like one. Yeah,
he was the only one to hit a home run in that 2-game series.
So was Andy Ibanez. What did that get him?
He hit a home run in that series. He hit a bases clearing double.
Just as big. Probably bigger than Parker Meadows.
You said home runs. I gave you a stat for home runs. This thing does this dog shit, period, for me. I mean, this does nothing. Yeah, where's Curry coming back into this then?
What do you mean?
You got Vierling, who's going to play center. Baez is going to play center. So Mullins, you're going to trade and play him a third of the time in center field?
No, Mullins is going to play every day, and Vierling is going to hopefully hit above his weight and be worth something. Because
where is he going to play?
He's going to play all over the outfield. He's going to play in place of Wenzel Perez on some days if he doesn't get his act together, and he's also going to play at third probably too. You can put what's his name? Baez at short, Vierling at third if you want to, if it's worth even playing Vierling. Because right now it's not. And he's 20, and he's 29. Huh?
Baltimore last year on a good year that they had, he hit 234.
Okay.
Barely over 400 slug. Barely over.
Why do you bring up average? Why do you bring up average like that's something that people care
because
about?
We got 3 guys that are hitting under 200. You want to add another guy that's hitting barely,
he's gonna hit the ball. He's gonna hit.
Respectable.
He can hit the ball out, and he also has the speed to, get on in other ways. Look at the strikeout. Look at the strikeout numbers. Here's the thing about Parker. Parker has great speed, right? But he swings and miss a ton. He strikes out a ton. So he can't even manufacture infield singles because he can't hit the ball. Huh?
This whole team is aggressive. It's high strikeout, except for maybe
the whole team isn't. The whole team isn't hitting 189 though.
No, but they're also
Riley is aggressive, but Riley also, when he gets a hold of it, it's gone. So there's a difference. You can't just say he's aggressive and that's simply it. Like it's
no. I think this whole team's approach has been first pitch aggressive. They've been the most aggressive first pitch team in all baseball by a long shot.
That's fair, but like I said, through 121 at bats, who else is hitting 189 and gets to play nearly every day?
I mean, they're playing Jake Rogers more because Dingler's sliding. They're playing Trey Sweeney more, and Javi. I mean,
say what you want about Javi. I know you don't want to have anything good to say about Javi, but Javi's been a top 5 hitter on the team. Green, Torres, and everybody else. And Javi's probably right after that. Carpenter, fine if you want to call Carpenter, but Carpenter's probably hitting. I think he's got actually hitting for a pretty good average. But Javi is a top probably 4 hitter right now.
I don't think it's worth it if you're going to go after Suarez. I mean, Suarez is the bat that makes the biggest impact on this team in a position of absolute need. But
a Parker Meadows deal has nothing to do with going after Suarez, unless for some reason they want him.
If we make this deal for a bat, and it's the only bat we make, I think this is.
I'm not saying that. No, I'm all in. Like I said, first and foremost.
What do you want to give an extension?
Huh?
You have to extend him. What will you offer him, Mullins?
2 for $20. Clark on the way. 2 for $20. They both take that deal. Because what can he ask for? That's a guy that can play his position equally well. Well, I won't say equally well to Parker Meadows, but Savant tells you that they're both about 1 out above average. And Mullins is somebody that's proven. Meadows, we have no idea. We have no idea what he's going to be. We just know he's 6'5" and can run. That's all we know.
I pass. I think it's terrible because I've been in this boat with Torkelson for the last 2 years, and everyone else wanted to hang on to him. So I say fuck that shit.
Okay, so your rationale is you were off on Torkelson and people, whatever.
People want to be biased, and that's your opinion. And I'm going to stand firm on this hill. You're going to hold on to Dingler and Parker until almost their last year of arbitration, and then you'll go from there. They did that with Faedo. And he was bad. And so you're going to tell me that a guy who contributed in the postseason for you at some of the best clutch hits in that run and that 0.2% last year, you're just going to cut bait with and let him go for next to nothing for a guy who's considerably older and at the back end of his career? No, absolutely not.
Hey, we're both on board with we want something that's going to make us better tomorrow, right? Not 5 years down the road when Max Clark's playing anyways, right?
There's no improvement. It's right here. You want to talk?
Look at okay. Look at the numbers.
You said I feel about batting average. Now you're saying, well, he's hitting $179, so you can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. He's hitting a better average than Parker.
What stat you want? The OPS, the slug, all of it. I threw out average because 189 is. You want to talk about dog shit? 189 is dog shit.
180.
But what number do you want?
For Matt Vierling, he's almost 30 years old, is dog shit.
No. Well, you know my stance on Vierling. He's gone for anything. He's gone for whatever the price is because we just don't need him. Open that spot up for somebody else to play and hit 180. Like, let's.
I would love for that, but problem is we fucking platoon too goddamn much based on numbers. These guys don't get to play every day.
Oh my! Okay.
I'm not now. It's not in defense of Vierling. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, I'm like,
No, I'm just saying in general, it's impossible to market and project these guys when they're getting handicapped left and right, and they're allegedly only being used against their stronger attributes, allegedly. Whereas the rest of
those
baseball,
aren't their stronger attributes.
Look at it this way: Suarez ain't going to get 158 starts in Detroit. I can guarantee you that. Not with Hinch at the helm. He's probably
Yes,
getting 35, 40 games less.
You will.
You tell me a player on this team not named Riley Green who has played over 150 games a year in the last 3 years.
Tell me anybody that in the Detroit uniform that was half the man that Suarez has been this year. You're not sitting. I
want him to play every day, but we know that's not going to happen. Not with Hinch.
Who needs to be hitting every day? We all know that you think Carpenter does, but
Torkelson's the only one hitting every day right now. The only one. Him and probably Gleiber. That's about it.
Yes, your best run producer. Yes, your best run producer. And imagine what he could do with the support that Suarez.
I'm not arguing about Suarez. Like I want him to start every day.
He will, bro. He's physically not only one. We know that he is physically capable of it because
any other manager in the major leagues, sure. AJ Hinch.
Who? Okay, did he platoon Bregman? We'll use real life situations where he's had real live all-stars because Hinch hasn't had that. Now that he has
do that in Houston, he's only done that here.
He's playing. He was working with a shittier hand.
He didn't have to do it in Houston, so I don't know how you can compare that. It's not apples. That's like comparing an apple to a watermelon.
And he's had to here.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm not. We can't sit there and say he's going to start.
You think Illich is going to pay him all this money? You think Illich is going to pay him all this money and allow AJ Hinch to knowingly sit him, knowing that he's the best hitter on the team? Do you really believe that?
You saw what we did to Scuba last year. We cut him short 5 extra starts. And it aged like fine wine. That has nothing to do with it. You took away 5 starts from a Cy Young guy in a playoff race. That
was in his first healthy year of his entire career. You got to add that in there too.
And he's not 20 years old. He's 27. You got to cut him loose and let him go. All right, wait, we can run circles around this, but I mean, this trade as its own does nothing for me long term.
That's fair. It wasn't, it sounded a lot better when I cooked it up this morning, but I think I made some valid points. We both made some valid points, and you almost had me crossed up. But when it comes down to it, we want to get better tomorrow, and you would be dead wrong to say that Meadows is a better player than Mullins right now. I
think they're both kind of the same in that regard. There's not really too much. Mullins is hitting a bit better from an offensive standpoint, but where that he has over Parker has him over on the defensive side.
Mullins is proven. He's done something. We're going all off speculation with Meadows, and eventually we said that we would have to get to a point. Hold on, okay. Let's pull up Parker. I just want to pull up the defensive side of things because all those dazzling plays that he made last year, I haven't seen that much from Parker this year. Okay, outs above average 2. Okay, so we're talking like what? In a small sample size, probably 60 percentile. Let's go to Mullins. And I got distracted and kind of forgot one of my points, but outs above average 1, 78 percentile. In a more of a sample size. The reality is this: Mullins has been doing it. He's done it. He's been an all-star. He's hit 30 home runs in a year. He's consistently hit an average of like 18, 19 home runs a year. We know what we get out of him. Parker Meadows, hate to say it, we failed with one Meadows. He may be my point was, I don't want to even go there. Too soon. Too soon. At some point, we have to flex the ability that we have a strong farm system. We have plenty of outfielders. You got guys like Campos, Roberto Campos. For the listeners, if you don't know who he is, look him up. Pretty solid outfielder. He plays in Erie? No, West Michigan. We got Max Clark. We have Justin Henry Malloy. We have a ton of guys. We have Brewer Hicklin, who's on our 40-man roster right now. Like, we have a ton of outfielders. And at some point, we have to utilize the fact that we have these guys as leverage in these situations to get better tomorrow. Parker Meadows is not a better player than Cedric Mullins tomorrow. He's shown flashes in bits and pieces, but we have not seen it. And he's not a child. He's like 26 years old. That's all I'm saying.
My thing is, you can get more for him in a trade for Parker.
He's 25. He'll be 26 in November. You can get more for like what?
Better than this that I'm looking at. And for me, I have to look at it in the scope of Harris being the fact that Ilitch is not going to give him the money he needs to do what he needs to fill the holes.
Mullins?
This is, if you're going to, from a spend standpoint, Parker's cheap, and you've got him for what, another 3 years? Team control?
But you said you want us to spend money, but you're hanging on this. He's cheap. Like, so what?
I don't see an extension for this guy. I don't.
I said 220 and you got quiet. 220 is realistic, right?
It's a Band-Aid contract. I'm sick and tired of giving Band-Aid contracts for a team that is not going to fucking re-sign Skubal. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of this.
So do you want us to be cheap or to spend money or not? Like who?
Well, the problem is they say one thing and they do another, and it doesn't align with what they're saying. Oh, we're going to develop it. We're going to hang on to these guys. We're going to develop them. We're not going to really sign guys. We're going to do this.
Man. They can't all play.
Doesn't make any sense.
Max Clark is going to be in Detroit by next fall. He just is. He's starting to hit home runs.
There's going to be a handful of moves made to free up space here. I mean, you say things and then like, dude, okay, so then what's going to happen with Carey? What's going to happen with, okay, let's say Parker does get traded for this and you sign Mullins to that 2-year 20. You're going to re-sign Riley. Where's room for Max Clark next year then? There is none for the next 2 years. You've got them all blocked off and you still have JHM up there in Toledo.
You can move. You can probably with 2 years 20. You can move Mullins. $10 million. You can move him. If Clark is genuine,
you're going to trade Parker, sign him to a 2-year extension, then you're going to trade away after 1 year for Max Clark. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't.
Why?
It doesn't. You want to get this team better. Mullins is good for this year. Nope, sorry, he's really not that great. See ya. Throw him out the window for Max Clark.
Parker, what are we gonna get from Parker?
At that point, he's
played parts of 3 years and he hasn't played.
Mullins, and then you can just send Parker down for Max Clark, and you still have team control, and he'll be in Toledo. And you're still saving $10-20 million.
So you want to see Parker play the rest of this year? You think that he is a World Series caliber player bat in our lineup?
There's a handful of these players in this team that are not World Series caliber right now.
No, I agree with that, but you got to get better.
This was an area that would put him at the top of being a legitimate World Series contender. Just this trade alone, yes, because we know that the reality with Skubal is there's a very realistic chance that we will not win this bidding war with him when it comes to his free agency.
I agree.
And that's just a generalization of it. Obviously, we could do a whole episode probably on just the negotiation of him alone.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, Skubal conversation is useless.
But the fact is, the catching situation is starting to decline offensively. The injuries and inefficiencies in the outfield collectively are starting to catch up, along with others cooling off. And the arms, obviously, there's just too many things going on right now. I
gotta piss. My bad. Hold on.
All right. Yeah, so there's just other things there's too many other things to go into that. Like it doesn't make sense. If you're going to extend Mullins 2 years, $20 million, you're going to see that out. And if you fall out next year out of the race of the Central, then you have much, much bigger problems. You just do. Lock guys up, because if I'm Scuba again and I see 1 year, 2 year deals, like, well, hell, man, if I resign for 7, 6, 8 years, whatever it is, who's going to be around other than 1 or 2 guys? Maybe. I don't know what the future's going to look like, but so yeah, I mean, if that's the scope of it, I'd say to hell with the trade. You let Max cook a little bit longer. You let Parker see what you get down the stretch here, and then if that's the case, then you call Max up next year and you send Parker down. But I don't see a reason why you're going to trade for Mullins and extend him if you're just going to trade him the following year after that. It doesn't. You're out of players when you're out now at $10 million too.
I'm not gonna lie. The situation with his brother definitely sours the situation, but I'm like, it's pretty obvious you believe that he can break out of the slump he's in, and be something, because it's not like he's a brand new player, and it's not like he was great. We've never seen a great Parker Meadows. We've seen like
second half of last year. That's about it, though.
yeah, like Torkelson, but not even second half. He hit the home run in Cincinnati, and then he went back on the whatever, back on the. So it's been just so spotty. So if there's any type of if there's any type of value or any type of ceiling that people can, like, I think that we could. I think it's a win. It's definitely a win for Baltimore in a sense that they're going to get rid of him anyways, and the fact that they missed out on Kyle, or they traded away Kyle Stowers for Rodgers last year, and that just bit them right in the ass. So they're thinking like, okay, maybe we can get some get back off that. I venture to say Parker Meadows will never. That Kyle Stowers ain't coming back with Parker Meadows, but
package him and Bryce Renier maybe.
Well, no, I'm saying that. Well, what I'm saying is that they let Stowers go, and he's just I guess if you bring Renier with him, then between the two of those you got Kyle Stowers, but I don't know. I figured, I knew it might get a little spicy. I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on Cedric Mullins down the way just to see how he continues, but he's playing for a shitty Baltimore team. Like, if I feel like you implant him into center, in the middle of a pennant race, and you got somebody that can raise some hell on the bases. He can defend his position, and he can hit for power. We know that. We know that he can hit for power. We know that Parker Meadows is maybe a major league player. Maybe he has the bat, but it's just been.
He's only got 4 more than McKinstry right now. So I mean,
who?
Mullins.
He's only got
home runs. He's got 13. McKinstry's got either 9 or 10. I mean, that ain't too much of a gap.
Yes, but McKinstry once again is having a Disney season, and Mullins has been doing it for years.
He's had one solid year. Everything else has been meh.
He defends his position. He defends his position, and he hits for power.
I don't know. 14, 15 home runs a year I wouldn't necessarily define it. He has some power. I'm not going to call him a power guy, but
for a center fielder that's 5'9", 170 pounds, I mean, it's pretty impressive, actually.
I'm not packaging him as a power guy. He's a professional hitter with some power, but I mean, it's not.
Yeah, he's not Aaron Judge. Like I get that, but I mean, the dude, he's been consistent. He's double digits every year.
That's major league.
That's 20 home runs.
No, 13, 14, 15. Pretty much what he's been at. Average 15 the last 3 years.
16, 15, 18,
15,
13.
18.
If he's got 13 now,
he's on 16, 15, 18. He's got 13 right now. So he's on trajectory right now for his second highest total of his career, but also so far his lowest average of his career.
Tim Lyons, have you guys thought of maybe it's your hitting coach and other coaches on your bench? Well, coaches definitely talked about it. Not the hitting coach, but I think you're the bench coaches you've talked about.
Well, I mean, it's this platooning thing, you know. The fact that that's why I think it's even more emphasis on McKinstry's years. The fact, well, granted, he's been again a guy that's been like Torkelson for the most part, and Gleiberg. Those are the three guys who've been playing damn near every day.
Yeah.
So he's
who do you think should be playing every day outside of Carpenter? Or I'm sure you want to say Carpenter, but
I mean, until he comes back, obviously he can't. But
which is a whole nother thing when you talk about what are we gonna do with Carpenter? Well, he's bound to miss 30 games a year off the bat.
It's the same guys that happen. There really is no change to that, including Riley for the most part, who gets days off just because they play him so much in a row, and then he'll go to DH, and then he'll just need a day of break. You know, maybe not be available as bench hitter, but I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, you've got a couple guys that can play all over the place, and you've got one or two guys that can only play one position. So they're kind of.
I just can't think of anybody that is everyday player caliber that's missing opportunities. They're all most of the guys that we had. He does the platoon out of necessity, not because he just loves to do it so much.
Not this year. He did it because he still wanted to do that. It was a pitching chaos he wanted to avoid. He even said it publicly. That's not long-term sustainable. They happened to catch lightning in a bottle in that regard last year. But from an offensive standpoint, he plays the numbers. He's going to use every guy on his bench every game.
But still, I ask, who is deserved to play every day that doesn't?
Well, that's the thing.
We already said that
guys play every day.
Torres, Green, Torkelson, they play every day.
Yeah, and pretty much Dingler for the most part.
Yeah, and Dingler, he's a catcher, so we know how that works. But other than that, nobody else deserves to play every. Vierling, Meadows, Perez.
Well, because it was set up like that last year. Nothing's really changed.
But nobody. My only point is that there's not even guys that deserve to play every day that have played.
Because you got to keyhole those guys into starting 2 out of 3 games every series. The people are gonna say, "Well, that's the old baseball. This is the new modern baseball." But no, because until you get those guys in that start 150 games a year at those positions, you're just not going to know who is actually deserving. Because when the pinch hit roles come up for those guys, like the Andy Ibanez from last year, who we've essentially replaced with Jahmani Jones, who's now fallen off the face of the earth against left-handed pitching all of a sudden, that's all that they were capable of doing. And now they're not being able to do the one singular thing they were asked to do. Now it all falls apart.
Ibanez has never been an everyday player. He's 30 years old. Jahmani Jones, this is the most he's played in the major leagues his entire career. These are guys that have never, I don't care where they play. Yeah. Jahmani Jones was the Yankee. He was drafted by the Angels. Ibanez, I don't even know where he came from. These guys were never household names. But give me one singular person that is not playing every day that if he got an opportunity.
There is none.
Who?
That's the answer. There is none.
Okay.
There's no more available that we haven't seen because, again, it ties to ownership, not wanting to spend money. So we're spending on fucking 4A players to fill in our 26-man roster. We got more 4A guys than Toledo.
About Meadows being so cheap and how we can keep him under control and all that type of stuff.
I wanted him extended Skubal last year. Nope. Now they're going to be screwed because he's on pace to possibly win a second Cy Young of the year. He's going to get MVP votes. His price is only going to keep going up higher. Barstool already kind of semi-screwed us by throwing out that 10-year, $425 million number. Riley Green's going to get a bag, and he's getting MVP votes this year. What are you going to do with Kerry when he comes up here in a year or two? You have to make a decision on that.
Got to play. He doesn't play. I mean, I won't say he doesn't play, but he misses 40 games a year.
Because we're playing all these guys almost every day on the 26-man.
No, you said that Kerry needs to play every day, but he's not.
Well, yeah, he doesn't. I mean, that's kind of he's in that platoon merry-go-round. This club is not managed in any way, shape, or form from an offensive standpoint from the traditional sense since last year. So that's why there is no one else to say who's deserving of to start every day that we haven't seen, because all these guys are inexpensive options that we've signed to fill temporary holes that are just going to be reopened again in the next 1 to 2 years repeatedly. There's no long-term commitment on any of these players except for Colt Keith. That's it, contractually.
Thank God. Thank God is the case. That is the case, and on occasion he makes right on that and looks pretty good. I think he had some issues at third yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. But that is why we need Eugenio Suarez. Let's wrap it up, though. We are well over the hour. Coach, I told you I was going to get you going. You said, where are the spicy hot takes?
Yeah.
And I gave you one. But anywho, closing remarks, as we head into another week. We play on Sunday night tonight. We better not get popped tonight.
Just score some fucking runs for Skubal. Please, for the love of God, score some runs for the guy.
It is Skubal.
Score some runs. Well, it was going to be him and Evaldi, and then late last night, Rangers announced that Evaldi was scratched due to, I guess, a back tightness or something like that. So, yeah.
But hell, we made Rooker look like modern day Pedro Martinez yesterday. So, what's that even matter? Let's look at this comment. He ain't as good as he. Oh no, that's this. No, hold on. Let me scroll down. Oh, I've been missing his comments. Oh no, I haven't. Coach needs a shot. Yeah.
I'll say this right now. This team is an AL legitimate contender, but they fall short based on everything they need to improve on, and to really any of the top 3 or 4 in the NL right now, they're still there's a gap. And if Harris can't address this by the trade deadline, the division is not a concern. I don't think the Royals made one early trade. The Guardians are looking or listening to offers, but I really don't think they're going to trade J-Ram or Quan or any of those guys unless it's an absolutely sweet deal, because I think they understand Minnesota's on the downfall. They're older too. And if Detroit's the only legitimate team, I think they're going to try to kind of semi retool on the fly if they will, to try and bounce back for next year. But yeah, Harris has got to do something. There's got to be at least two moves made, if not 3 ideally. 2 arms and a bat. I mean, we want to win a World Series. If we think Skubal's not on this team after 2027 or 2026, whatever it is, that has to happen.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see where we're at. I mean, to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. I think that this losing streak could be a blessing in disguise, because it's really going to add some importance. As you know, Harris is going to have to be very intentional. He was very active last year in selling. So it's a little different, a little more aggression involved in when it's time to buy. But yeah, nonetheless, it worked out, swimmingly. So we will see how it goes, but stay tuned. It's only going to get better. We're going to do we're probably going to do a live reaction pretty soon for the trade deadline. So that's going to be Can't Miss TV. So anybody that loves the Detroit Tigers, we are the representatives on the FFSN, Fans First Sports Network side of things. Please subscribe to YouTube, because like Tim says, hey, he got to see the raw and uncut reactions of Coach, which you don't see when you're listening on the radio, listening on the audio side of things. So it's fun, it's interactive. We interact to each and every comment as best we can, and display it up on the screen. But yeah, we'll be back next week. We'll see how the Tigers do. We had a lot to talk about. We didn't even get to who we are playing in the upcoming series, but check out the schedule. We'll be back. We'll talk about it in details. We appreciate everybody for tuning in today. We out here.
Get your lick back. If a nugget